Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 611 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm Kyle Bradkey, joined by just Ben Askren today. There is Snowmageddon here in Austin, Texas. We have weather like they haven't seen in like 70 years. We got 6 inches of snow on the ground. It's 7 degrees outside. There's ice everywhere.
When's the last time it was 7 degrees in Texas, Kyle? Because I'll tell you the last time it was 7 degrees in Wisconsin was here yesterday. No big deal.
I really don't know. I think it's seriously like 70 years.
When was the last time there was that much snow? Because I saw pictures of the windmills also. You guys are in trouble down there.
We're in trouble. I don't know last time there was this much snow, especially in Austin. They have no idea how to handle it. They were canceling things and closing things like 2 and 3 days in advance when there was still nothing on the ground. It was pretty insane. People are losing their minds. So I'm doing this remote today, just because, well, like there's still a number of Flow people that don't have power. Like producer Tyler, who's usually the man on this show, doesn't have power going on 24 hours.
How cold is his house? Because by this point, it's got to be pretty damn cold. I remember one winter, my old house, the oh my gosh, what heats the house, Kyle? I'm blanking. The furnace went out. Thank you. The furnace went out at like 10 p.m. And it was like, okay, well, we'll just wait till the morning to get somebody because it's just too late now. And no one opened doors or windows or anything. And by the morning, it went from like 70 to like 59 or something like that. So if we want to hold 24 hours without any power, dude, that would get cold. So I mean, my man Tyler, he's probably layered up by now.
Oh yeah. So I don't know. Hopefully things can return to normal here soon. CP went back to Virginia for a little family weekend, and they got stuck in DC, and I think they're being crazy people and trying to drive home. So Godspeed to them. Half of our crew is stuck in Iowa. Bader,
because they were at the Captain's Cup.
JD, yeah, they went to Captain's Cup. They're stranded in Iowa until likely
For real?
at least. Yeah, Ben, dude, their flight out on Monday got canceled. Then their flight out on Tuesday got canceled. Like they're not getting back till tomorrow. Like probably at the earliest.
Does like Austin Airport and Houston Airport, did they just not have snow plows, or what is the problem? Is that the problem?
I'm sure they probably don't. Yeah.
Like they don't have snow plows, so they literally have to wait till the snow melts to get planes in again or something?
Well, I imagine that someone has probably given them snowplows since then, but I don't know. I don't think they were ready for this.
Where were they driving them in for? They're driving them in from Albuquerque or something?
I don't know. I don't know how any of this works, but I can't imagine that they keep snow trucks in Austin or Houston just ready to go just in case, because it doesn't happen. So yeah, this part of the country is not ready for this.
Yeah, Pyle's driving 20 hours. Oh man, guys, seriously, God bless him. I mean, he only has 2 kids. I have 3, and they're a little older. 20 hours in a car. Oof, that would be brutal.
Especially since he's driving through part of the country that got snow too. It's not like from here to DC didn't get snow or ice. So hopefully they're all good and get back safely. But I think they just didn't want to sit in DC and be bored out of their minds and just wait. So, let's get into it, Ben. You wanted to start with allocations?
Yeah, and I wasn't. I mean, you probably are more passionate about how dumb this is than I was when you started going off on text yesterday, and then obviously I looked into it, and I read it, and I mean, the biggest thing to me is like, why don't we just fix it? It seems to be that the problems are relatively obvious. You're going to outline them here, and then you're going to bring up some other numbers that is outlined by some other people. And it looks like this is so obvious. Why don't we just change it? And if nothing else, the IWA situation should be fixed. Just deduct some qualifiers because they have 4 teams not competing. and then put
Yep.
those in the wild cards, and then it's kind of good.
Yeah, and so of course it was a typical Thursday news dump. Right after FRL, a few hours after FRL, the allocations came out, and at first it seemed fine. I got them up on the site for us, and then it was like, oh crap, like these are messed up. And the EIWA one is the one that really stands out, because you compare. So what they did to determine allocations, I'll back up there. Since we didn't have a full season, um,
Yes.
you weren't wrestling from November on or anything like that, so it's hard to determine a wrestler's body of work. So they took an average of the past 5 years of what each conference got at each weight. So
And
in
so,
the ACC
Kyle,
at
this was
120,
actually how they used to do it also, if you remember correctly.
yes, you're right. Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So when I was wrestling, and I don't recall when it switched to the system that they have now, but the system they have now is significantly more fair. And there was no there was no nationwide wild cards. There was just your conference
Right.
gets this many. So like Big 12, for example, when I was in it was top 3 plus, between 5 and 7 wild cards, and the coaches would have a coaches meeting, which I've often heard was hilarious because they would just go to war over who got the wild cards. Um,
That is
and so
absolutely wild.
I know you guys listen. I think from some of what I heard, if Flo would have live streamed the coaches meetings that determine the wild cards, that would have been like the best ratings you guys ever got in your life.
Yeah, I can only imagine the backroom deals going on with that too. Hey, you take care of our guy here. We'll take care of you, and that.
Yeah, I mean that's so. So you got you have literally in a meeting Brian Smith, Bobby Douglas, John Smith, Mark Manning, and Jack Spates just going to war over who's getting the wild cards. I mean, can you imagine?
No, that's absolutely incredible. I mean, think of like the Big Ten now. Cale Sanderson
Hmm.
and Tom Brands and Tom Ryan, uh, just
Yeah,
going to
it
war.
would be great.
Um, it would be great. So they took an average of the past 5 seasons of what each conference got each way. So if the
Yes.
ACC averaged 3 at 125 over the past 5 years, they got 3 this year. Um, but one thing that became abundantly clear when looking at these is that they did not factor in teams not competing this year, or really fairly um, factor in teams switching conferences. So the
Yeah.
EIWA last year got 44
It's kind of a
bids
big
to
deal,
national
Kyle. It's
tournament
kind of
ahead
a
of
big deal.
this is ahead of time, like going into the conference tournament. They had 44 automatic bids. This year they got 45 with their best teams not competing. No Cornell, no Princeton, who are the top 2 teams, would have been the top 2 teams in that conference, and then no Columbia, no Penn, no Harvard as well, and those
I mean,
teams.
that's 5
That's
teams, but so here's the deal. Between those 5 teams, it would be relatively easy to average out their national qualifiers over the past 5 years and just deduct them. I mean, it's
yeah,
really
or you
that
just look
simple.
at how many allocations wrestlers from those teams earned, and you pull those out of your numbers.
Yeah.
And you knew you were going to do it this way from the beginning of the season. So don't tell me you didn't have time to do it, because you did. This was
Kyle, you got time to do it right now. I could do that math in 30 minutes after this show if you want. Myself. I mean, and that's
right,
me looking up brackets manually, writing numbers down on a piece of paper, and then going, this minus this equals this. It's not hard.
correct. So the IWA goes from 44 last year when they had all their teams to 45 this year when they're missing like 5 of their better teams. So they have way too many. And if you look at Kyle, if we can go ahead and pull this up, Seton Hall Pyra, who's really good at this stuff, did
Wait, so
this.
hold on, Kyle. Jason Bryant said 6 Ivies plus FN. Which Ivy are we missing? Harvard, Columbia, Brown, Princeton, Columbia,
Brown was the one we
Cornell.
missed when we were listing them
We missed
off.
Brown. We missed
Brown
Brown.
was.
Okay. So they're probably the worst
Yeah,
one, but
and
they have a handful of good guys every once in a while.
yes, and I forgot about Franklin and Marshall too. So thank you, JB, because they're in the EIWA as well.
So that's got to be
So you
half.
look
That's
at
going to be half of their schools. 'Cause they have
right,
15, right?
right, yeah, I think
Gee.
maybe more because they
Okay.
added Long Island. Anyways,
Cool.
um, you look at like this, and the way Pirate did these numbers is he didn't factor in any wild cards. This would be if there were no wild cards, and you just looked at the coaches' rankings. So you can, but it gives you a good idea to determine like what conferences kind of got the short end of the stick. And the Big 12 went from 54 pre-allocations last year to 45 this year, and they're arguably a tougher conference. So you really feel like they kind of got screwed. The Big Ten was pretty much right on. I know it says they're under allocated on Pirates thing, but they're pretty much right on. They were only 3 off from the year before. And the MAC, man, the MAC, they acted like the EWL didn't exist. The EWL numbers went nowhere. Um, because the
Hmm.
MAC absorbed the EWL last year, but they didn't do anything with the allocations that the
But
EWL
so,
earned the past 4 years.
but see now, Pirates still says the MAC is over allocated.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, that's. I guess
Does
that's
that
just
mean they're
looking at
really
the
bad
coaches'
this year?
rankings.
Because they have all of their people competing. They have all their teams competing. Oh wait, I would know. Wasn't you and I in the MAC? They
They
were.
were, and they got credit. They got credit for you and I the
So
years they
that's
were in the MAC, but the Big 12
yeah.
did not get credit for them.
Sure. So I mean, that's probably a good reason why the MAC is over allocated because you think that over the past 5 years, or when you and I was in the MAC, they probably averaged what 6 to 8 national qualifiers, somewhere in there.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it's a lot. It's not. It's not a. It's not only a couple.
sure.
So that's interesting. The
But I
MAC is
also,
right.
I also get the Max coach's point, and I think why they're showing that they're under allocated is they don't have a lot of guys in the coaches rankings. Um, and I think a lot of that has to do with they've had to mainly wrestle each other. They haven't had a lot of out of conference stuff. They haven't had the opens and the scuffles and the CKLVs and the Midlands to get wins over these guys to put themselves on the map.
Yeah.
Um, so I get their point though that I mean the EWL was probably getting between. I mean, I really don't think there was a weight getting more than two. Maybe there was one a year that got more than two. So you're
Yeah.
only really adding one, maybe two allocations to each weight. But when you're a max school, I went to a max school. I understood how important it was getting the guys to the national tournament. That's a big deal. And if you have an extra spot at the tournament, that's really important. So, um, and Kyle, if you go ahead and pull up Mark Branch's tweet here, and he got into it a little bit on Twitter, just about how the allocations were broken down, and then you saw Keith Ferrara, the coach at Clarion, and Daniel, the coach at Gardner Webb, um, talk with him a little bit about that. Uh, so if we can go ahead and pull that up, Kyle. But Coach Branch, I thought, did a good job voicing his concern. Um, let me see. I'll read it.
I see. You want me to read it?
I lost it. Yeah, go ahead.
I,
Sorry, I lost
I
it.
want to see how all the conferences came out on the NCAA wrestling allocations versus rankings using historical data. Just curious. Big 12, 45 slots and 70 ranked. Oh, geez. Was it taken into account teams moving conference over the last 5 years, teams not competing this year? Interesting. So he makes a very valid point. And Kyle, to my point earlier, this does not take a huge brain to fix this issue. You just pull out the ones that aren't competing, you put those in the wild cards, you call it a day, and now, right, they're not going to have that many auto qualifiers in their conference. But if you have 9 wild cards per weight, generally speaking, the guys who deserve the wild cards are going to get the wild cards. So I think this is very, very easily solvable, and it's not even going to take that much time or effort. And the IWA schools, they can't get pissed and say, well, our historical data is off. No. You only
No,
have, so 10 out of 17 teams are competing. You can't get mad at that. Come on, man.
no, you can't. And you saw Clarion's coach Keith Ferrara reply to Mike Branch, say they're going to have to re-release it. So he wants them he wants them to fix it. And
I
I
mean,
saw
who
I
who
saw
wouldn't
Nomad
who
tweet.
wouldn't want them to fix this?
Yeah, I think you need to. You need a more. I mean, this is massive this year in determining. Obviously, it's massive every year, but it's even more
Yeah,
important this year when wrestlers have less bodies of work um, to put on display to even earn a wild card. And I know there are more wild cards per weight. Usually, there's 3 to 4. This year, there's 6 to 7 at each weight. Um,
yeah,
but still, there's going to be more people needing a wild card. Um, man, this is a mess.
yeah.
uh,
So I mean, yeah, when you look at the EIWA's thing, um, and I'm not trying to crap on anyone, but like, Sacred Heart's generally not very good. Long Island's generally not very good. Um, and you look at some of the other programs. I mean, Army's going to have a handful of national qualifiers, probably. Hofstra's getting a little better. Lehigh will be pretty good. Navy will be pretty good. But man, 45 for 10 schools. That means half of the guys from those schools are qualifying. And I don't want to say they don't deserve it, but that's kind of what it is with them getting the extra allocations.
no, I think you're spot on because you're going to see some guys in the tournament from the EIWA that probably don't have the same kind of resume, weren't wrestling the same caliber guys, don't have the same caliber wins as a Big 12 or a Big 10 guy that could be sitting at home. Um, and I think the goal of the tournament is to get the 33 best wrestlers at each weight. Um,
Yes.
not just try to have as many schools represented as possible. Um, but yeah, let's hope they do re-release this. I don't have any confidence that they're going to,
None.
because they have not shown to be the most competent organization in the world, despite the backlash. So don't keep your breath. Don't hold your breath there. But I hope they do get it fixed because I don't think it's right. I think it's wrong, and I think we
Well,
should
I
get it
mean, the
fixed.
positive about this, I would say, is that the IW coach are sitting there like, trying not to say anything, but all the other coaches should be united in this. And therefore, it's not even like a 50-50 or everyone versus the Big Ten or anything like that. It's pretty much all of them saying, "Come on, guys, this is ridiculous. Let's fix this."
Right.
And I feel like that should be an impetus to get it done. So I would actually kind of be shocked. When you said it last night, I didn't think about it. Now when we talk through it, it's like I would be shocked if this doesn't get changed because it is just it's absurd.
Yeah. Yeah. When you have 7 teams not competing and they earned a big chunk of those allocations, you need to fix something and make it fair. They're using inaccurate data um,
Yes.
to
I mean, the
determine
other thing
this.
I never understood about the 5-year window when I was there is that a 5-year window is so large. I mean, there's a
Mhm.
lot of things that can happen over the course of 5 years. And so it's like, why do we need the window to be that big? And I guess you'd say for maybe there's 1 year a team gets a bump or something, but I would prefer like a 2 to 3 year window. If you're going to use historical data, a 2 to 3 year window is significantly more accurate than a five-year window because so much can change in 5 years to still be counting data that happened 5 years ago. This just doesn't make sense.
I'm right there with you, and like you look at the trajectory of the Big 12, it's gone up and up and up and up. In the past 2 3 years is going to be more accurate than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, so
Or I would
like
say the
they've added
ACC
more.
also. I mean, Keith Gavin wasn't the coach of Pitt. Was Pop the coach 5 years ago at NC State? I don't think so. It was
Um,
close. 5
he
or
might have
maybe
been his
5 years
first
ago.
year. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, and
North
then,
Carolina wasn't
Coleman,
what it is now. Right.
right? So, the ACC, for example, has changed significantly in the last 5 years, so to be thinking, what Pitt was before Keith Gavin got there is not an accurate reflection of what Pitt is now. So, yeah, the 5-year window is
Correct.
dumb. Thankfully, we probably won't ever have to deal with that again.
Yes, I think you're right. Thank
Yeah.
God. All
Thank
right,
God.
I think we beat that topic into the ground. Just change it. Just fix it. Just fix it.
Just fix it. It's easy. Just fix it. It literally, I could do it with a pen and paper in 30 minutes. NCAA, you guys can do it. You guys got guys on staff.
Aaron Aaron Sweezy put a good comment in the Facebook chat. He said Big Ten only wrestling Big Ten this year. How much is that affecting other conferences that rely on those big matches? I'm not sure the other
Huge.
conferences rely on it, but it definitely impacts it big time. Not getting the Big 12, the ACC, the MAC, not getting a chance to host these or to duel these teams or see them in any kind of tournament format setting hurts them big time. Not getting a chance to pick up quality wins. Um, Guys that are in the coaches rankings or guys that are in the top 10 or all Americans or anything, it's massive.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
hurts other
that's what I was
conferences
thinking.
more than the Big Ten.
I was thinking about 174 pounds. I think the top 5 are Big Ten. Cameron Labriola. Oh, so you guys, I guess Demetrius Romero is now snuck in there. But if you take Demetrius Romero out, 6 of the top 7 are Big Ten. And so it's like
Yep.
for someone else to sneak up into that top 10, dude, that's hard because you don't get to wrestle anyone up there. So it's hard to move up into that echelon without competing against those guys.
Yep. Yep. You're totally right. And usually they would get a chance to see those guys. A lot of them at Midlands. The Big Ten is usually
CKLV.
all the schools are CKLV, Scuffle. The Big Ten's usually all those schools are usually pretty aggressive in their scheduling. They wrestle a healthy non-conference dual schedule. So
Yeah,
yeah, it really hurts.
definitely.
Okay.
Um,
Let's.
yeah.
Where do you want to go now, Ben? You want to?
Well, I think
There's drama in the
Penn State, Michigan,
ACC. Okay, Penn State, Michigan.
or Cowboy Challenge Finals, one or two.
This. Let's do Penn State, Michigan first. But the Cowboy Challenge
Okay.
Finals, there's a lot to talk about there. It was actually a really good tournament. Um, Best tournament of the year, actually. Some would say. um, Penn State, Michigan. That was the kind of Penn State team I think I
Yeah.
expected to see this year. I think you agree there. And I don't know, does this change your opinion? Do you think Penn State has any chance now against Iowa? I know we wrote them off on I think Thursday's
No,
show. Said they were done, they were finished. Did that change your
they are
opinion at
so.
all?
No, and this was their best. I think their best performance of the year for sure. But when you look at their lineup, it's still we're talking NCAA points, right?
Hmm.
They're not going to get a whole bunch of production out of Neville's, Beard, Lee, Jolie, not Nick, or
Hmm.
49, who they've rotated starters through there. And I think that Robbie Howard was positive, right? Jack Medley's a
Hmm.
tough customer there, but Jack Medley's also not a top 10, 12 guy. So
Right.
um, I don't know. It helps, but it doesn't help that much, I guess.
Yeah, and you saw they went from 6 to 3 in the tournament rankings because I think Bergie's win moved him into low AA status.
Yep.
Howard moved into the rankings.
We
Starocki
got
moved
Bergie
up
at
a
9, so
few.
not quite into the
Okay,
money.
okay. And then Starocki moved up a few podium positions. So, they move up at those weights. Um, it definitely made their team stronger. I'm really interested to see Robbie Howard against Malik Heinzelman this weekend. Um, that will be a really good test for him because Malik has been awesome this year. And if he can win that, it shows he's a top 12 guy. And then Big Ten tournament will be really interesting. I think RBY looked really good. Nick Lee did his
No, hold
thing.
on. Hey, let me ask you about this though. When we get into those, Christian commented something like Michigan was, they wanted to flip there because they thought maybe they could win both weights. Which does this mean Michik's coming back? Because here's what I'm thinking. This. Why would you have both Ragusin and Medley capable of making 25? Because the weight descent plan, which is really stupid, you have
Yeah,
to keep them low. Why would you have them both
right.
capable of making 125 if one of them was permanently at 33? Does that make you
I
think the
think
same
they
thing?
absolutely. I think Meach is absolutely planning on coming back, and that's
Okay.
and that That's everything we've been told by Michigan. You know, we were told last week he could possibly wrestle this weekend. They were leaning towards probably not, but we were told he might wrestle this weekend. And I think that's why one of those guys just hasn't just gone 33. It's because they expect him to wrestle this year. Um,
Yes.
I, I
So
I thought they
would
went with Medley at 25 because they thought they could win that with Medley. And then
okay.
I don't know if they actually, I mean, they're going to tell you they thought they could win 33, but I think they thought Ragusan had a better opportunity to not get majored than Medley did against
Yeah.
RBY. And he
Yeah.
did
It's
that. I
I
mean, he
mean,
almost did. It was close.
yeah, I mean, both of them are giving up weight to RBY, and then RBY is just better. So the notion
Right.
that one of those guys was going to beat him, I mean, yeah, if you're on that team, maybe you back your guy, but from an outsider looking in, I don't feel like either one of those guys was going to beat RBY.
Do
So
you
I mean,
think,
go but hold on, a decision versus a non-major, that's a 1 point save. But if you could have
right.
gotten the for sure win, then you actually you go 5-5 with them because you went 4-5.
You win the duel,
Um,
Ben. You win the duel.
oh, I didn't even do the math, but yeah, they win the duel. So I don't know why. I think that
You
was a
win the
bad
duel by one
move.
point.
Yeah, I think that was a bad move. I don't really know why they did that. Well, I guess I thought Penn State had a couple other bonus points, but I guess not. Damn,
No bonus point
no
wins.
bonus.
And our man John Kozak, I think he had the stat that was like the first duel since 2016 he could find with no bonus point wins for Penn State.
Really?
Yes.
So Kozak thinks Ragusan's cutting too much for 25. That's an interesting thought, and that could definitely be correct. I don't know that to be
It
for
could
sure,
be
but yeah,
he's tall and lanky. I don't either. He is tall and lanky. Man, I think that if he I would favor him against Robbie Howard. And I mean, especially after
yes,
watching Medley nearly chase Howard down. Um,
yes,
I think if he wins there, and then there was one other, there was one other strategy move that maybe I would have made differently. And
oh, what's that?
I'm not trying to question. I'm not trying to question Chris Bormack because he's a Michigan man. He's much smarter than me and knows a lot more about wrestling than me. I'm armchair. I'm
Come on,
armchair quarterbacking it.
spit it out.
But
What would you
looking
have
back
done?
on it, the Starocci Massa match, Massa goes into the third period 0-0. Massa has 105 of riding time. We've seen Starocci be
Okay.
pretty tough on top this year. I think I would have put him neutral and protected
Yeah.
the riding time point there. What do you think, Ben? I know it's tough because
You said this to me. You said this to me also. Um, so here's why it's tough. If they go neutral and Soroki gets a takedown and erases ride time, and it's not that hard, right? Because it's only 5 seconds, and you lose 2-1, you look like a dumbass. And so,
yeah,
um, the negative to that is way worse than the negative to getting erasing the ride time and then getting the escape after the 5 seconds. So then it is 1-1. So I think when you just look at plus and minus, I think it kind of makes sense. Yeah, and then even if
um,
yeah, I guess if Massa would have got the takedown and Stroke got escape, he would have won 3-2 because he would have had takedown plus ride time. You'd have to be really confident that your
yeah.
guy was going to get the takedown or not getting taken down. And I don't think they were there. So I think it was probably the right choice. I could definitely see what you're saying though.
Yeah, it's tough.
But so hey, that the forward roll that you were complaining about,
I
that is
don't
the same
understand it.
thing that what? You don't
I don't
understand it? I don't
understand
understand.
what he was doing there. Help me understand it.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. That's what oh my God, Tyler Graff did against Ramos in the finals. Essentially, really something
Yeah,
similar. And my general rule, and this is probably even more important in college than in high school or youth, but when we coach is, do not scramble on bottom. It is so dumb because you put yourself at such a gigantic disadvantage on multiple levels. So the one is obviously that you can never expose your back because you give up back points, right? If you're
right.
neutral and you expose your back, maybe they'll give you the danger count for 3 seconds. But if you're on bottom and you start scrambling, they're just swiping. Boom, right there.
Yeah.
You don't have any time at all. And then obviously the other one is, if you get in a scramble, the top guy no longer has to win. They only have to stalemate. They don't have to win the scramble. They stalemate. You're back on bottom. And then the third one, which is, again, college wrestling is different, is you're giving up riding time. Right? If you're in a scramble, you're giving up riding time. So it is not wise to scramble when on bottom in college wrestling at all. So yeah, I don't know. It could just be out of habit. One time I tried a leg pass in the clinch against Lee Fullhart in like 2004. That was really stupid, and that was just out of habit because it was like 2 years of the college season. So maybe it's just out of habit. But yes, not a wise decision.
It was an interesting position because Massa was up on his feet, but Starocki had dropped down to one of his ankles and had his leg up in the air. So I don't know if he just and was kind of pushing into him. So I don't know if Massa just thought he could just use that momentum to roll through and kick
Yeah,
free. But it was really savvy wrestling by Starocki. He felt that it was like a Winn Dixie. He felt that, and he just swung his leg back like we
yeah.
saw Jason Nolf do so many times and catch him there with the Winn
Mhm.
Dixie. And then I loved Massa as soon as he got on top, trying the James Fleming illegal move right off the
Snapper.
bat. He just went for it
Well, that
right
was.
away.
Don't you remember that Massa's older brother? That was like his go-to kind of also.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and that was like a Nick Simmons move, and I believe they're all kind of from a similar area in Michigan. But that one you can't even really use in college wrestling because I hate the side headlock rule that they have in college wrestling because the refs don't
Hmm.
differentiate between side headlocks. So, like, they count the assassin as a side headlock. Like, the assassin is a pinning combination. And the idea that you would get called for stalling when attempting the assassin is
It's
simply
insane.
ludicrous, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you're in a side headlock and you're trying to fish for that Merkel on top, um, like, and this is again where I abhor the stallings where they have to call them. Like, listen, if the guy's actually working for a turn, let the man work. If he's
Hmm.
obviously stalling, call him for stalling. Don't just make some dumb rule where you got to call him in 5 seconds. It just doesn't make any sense.
I agree. I agree. What else did you think of that match? I thought in the first period they kind of traded exchanges, good defense from both guys. They both got in deep and couldn't finish. But then in the third, after Massa got the escape, I really thought a takedown was imminent. He was pushing really hard, and it
Yeah.
seemed like Starocki was fading. And then when it went to overtime, I was like, okay, I think Massa's gonna win. He's been more aggressive here. He looks like he's got more in the tank. But then neither guy did anything.
Maybe he gassed himself out, or right when we tried to push pace going in regulation and got himself a little more tired. Then, but I mean, he did ride Soroki for a while. So listen, I never advise going to ride outs because you think you're gonna ride the person more. But he did ride him
Right.
for a significant amount of time. So maybe he thought, hey, I'm gonna ride this kid out for 30 seconds or something to that effect. Um, yeah, I think that was a big step up for Soroki because he's someone we were really high on, and then he had the loss to Donnell Washington. And Mass has obviously been having a ton of success freestyle wise. So I feel like
Hmm.
that's a huge win. Um, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens at conference. And unfortunately, we talked about Romero hurting his ankle against Kemmerer, so we didn't get to see Romero versus Massa on Friday night. But that would have been really interesting to see also because that would have huge implications on the Big Ten seeding. Because as of now, it's probably Kemmerer, Labriola, Romero, and then probably Soroki Massa. I'm assuming they'd be five. That's guys how you guys have them ranked, but they would probably be the
Yeah.
4-5. I'm guessing at the Big Ten, so they'll meet in the quarters, right? That makes the most sense.
Yeah. And I mean, you kind of got we call it Ranker's delight when three guys would just all beat each other because Washington beats Starocki beats Massa,
Yeah.
Massa beats Washington. We
Yes.
valued the most recent result, which was Carter Starocki over Logan Massa, and then Massa pinned Donnell Washington. He kind of messed him up. Um,
Yeah.
So we valued Siraki's win over Massa more there and went ahead and made the move over Washington despite his head-to-head loss to him. But yeah, and then I hope Romero's back this weekend because we could see him versus Siraki on Friday night.
Oh, Caleb Romero. I thought you were talking about
Yes.
Demetrius Romero, his brother,
Oh
for a
no,
second.
sorry. That is really confusing. Two guys with the same last name ranked back to back. But yeah, Caleb Romero, Carter Strachey could happen this weekend.
Yes, that would be good. Is that so? This is the last weekend. So, like, the MAC conference teams, they're done competing because they are less than 2 weeks from the MAC
Their
conference. But the Big
conference tournament's
10
next weekend.
is the 20, 26, 27, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
max. Yeah.
Okay. So Big Ten has one more weekend. And then maybe done. So wow, Penn State wrestles Ohio State, and then they wrestle Maryland on Monday. That's weird.
They have
That's
a couple
really
Monday duels. Indiana's wrestling Purdue on that same Monday. I don't know what
why.
that's about.
What's the deal?
I don't know.
So
I don't know.
the other thing is, that would then be less than 2 weeks from the conference tournament for quarantine and everything else purposes, and that's why I'm sure you're going to bring it up at some point when we talk about the Cowboy Challenge. But Missouri did not bring a whole bunch of their starters, so pretty much anyone who could potentially be contact traced, they just said we're not taking them, right? So Brock Muller, for example, he wrestled, so he must be in the clear. And I think was he the only real starter
I think he
there?
was the only starter. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So they had some other good guys like Josh Edmond was beating Dusty Hone, for example. And so do you want to go Cowboy Challenge, or do you want to lead that into your injury default debate?
Let's go to Cowboy Challenge. Let's go to Cowboy Challenge first.
Okay. So this tournament was interesting because if you lost first round, you did not get another match, which
Yeah, I don't know
was
if they tried to get extra matches or with those guys or not. I didn't see. I didn't see any in the bracket, but that doesn't mean they didn't wrestle them. Like I don't know, off to the side or something.
well, I didn't see that. So I follow Mizzou on Twitter, and I didn't see any extra matches announced. So usually they would post them if they were.
Yeah.
But it kind of backfired on Oklahoma State, I thought, because Mastro lost first round to Noah Certain from Missouri. And so it's like, well,
Yep.
you thought he was going to get multiple duels, and now he had one match, and it was a loss to a backup from Missouri. And so if you look at Mastro's record now, he has one really solid win, and that's Cody Fippen. And besides that, no one's ranked all that high. So, I feel like that's really got to hurt him going into Big 12s and then going into NCAAs. Whereas if he would have won it, you could argue that he only has one loss, which is to Brody Teske, and that it will look much better. That loss, I feel like Certain is going to hurt him.
It will, and it hurt him in the rankings this week. He was ranked ahead of Connor Brown, but you to someone who's not starting over Connor Brown and still be ahead of them. So we dropped him below Connor Brown. He does have the win over Fabian Gutierrez, who's ranked. You're right, Fippin's a nice win. A guy who I think was top 4 at Big 12s last year. But yeah, it's not a super strong resume, and you're absolutely right that loss hurts him. So then at 33, Dayton Fix looked incredible.
Killed everyone.
He killed everyone. He got his 4 matches in too, so you don't need to worry about that, which I don't think anyone was super worried about. They still have a duel plus Big 12s, but he got his 4 matches in the first weekend. He got 3 falls and a tech. He beat Ryan Sullivan in
Dayton
the
Fix
finals
for
of Westford.
Hodge?
You can't rule it out. He's gonna have.
At this point, how many matches does Spencer Lee have? Can't be very many
That's what
more.
I'm looking it up right now. He has 4
Spencer's
matches
got
too.
Spencer's got 4. They got the same.
So 4 falls for Spencer, 4 falls and a tech for Dayton.
Was Gable
Spencer's opponents have been of tougher quality, of tougher caliber.
Gable's got 8 of
But
those.
Dayton,
He's doubling these dudes up.
geez, and
Damn,
I
Gable's a
think
bloodbath this year. Tech fall, 13-second pin, tech fall, major Cassiope, tech fall, pin, 35 seconds, pin.
yeah, man. And the guy he
Damn.
pinned in 35 seconds was Luke Luffman, who was beating like all
He's
these
good.
dudes to get in the top 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so you can't rule Dayton out. I think Spencer and Gable's still in the driver's seat. Um, but Dayton does have 3 or 4 ranked guys in his conference bracket. So that helps. And Ryan Sullivan's ranked like number 12 right now. He pinned him and was dominating before he pinned him.
And so Iowa, I guess they canceled their 19th match, and they're saying the match on the 21st against the Badgers is a maybe, I guess.
Yeah,
So they might not even have another regular season match, potentially.
and I'd be really
Has
cautious about it if I was them. You just need to get all your guys to Big Tens and NCAA's. These duels.
Seriously. Yeah, forget it. So no, and Minnesota's got Northwestern left on the schedule before Big Tens.
So another bloodbath.
Yes, that's good. It's gonna be a quick hit, I'm sure.
Yeah, agreed. At 41, Josh Edmond, as you mentioned, beat Dusty Hone on injury default. We'll get to that more later.
You guys,
Edmond,
hold on. I can't remember which side you guys do or do not count injury defaults.
we do not. We do not, which is obviously
Ah, oh yeah,
you
I
don't
raged on
remember
you guys about
you
this.
don't remember getting mad? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I know I got mad,
Um,
and yeah, you know what? I should have been able to deduct that because I knew I got mad, and I know what I think. So yeah, I should have known where you guys lied.
I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. It's just the way we do things. Obviously, we want to see the match play out. Let's get into this in a second. I want to stay on the Cowboy
Okay,
Challenge
Dusty
because it
Home.
was
What this was? It's a 403 over halfway. Edmund was winning the match at the point that it got called. So, well, I'm going to
Mhm.
call it a win for him, even if you don't.
Well, I mean, it counts as a win for him. We won't use it when determining rankings. It counts as a win. It goes in his record. It goes in the loss column for Hone. So
Yeah.
it's a win for sure. And
So, well,
I thought Edmund was going to be the starter this year for Missouri. I thought he looked amazing, and then Alan Hart's just been unreal. Edmund's really good.
so, man, I can't remember whoever's rankings they were using for the Cowboy Challenge when I was looking on Twitter or whatever. Did someone really have Dusty Hone ranked number 4? Because that's what it was, and I remember thinking like, how is Dusty Hone
No, there's
number
no
4?
way.
There's no way, right?
There's no way.
Okay. All right. I don't know what I was
Yeah.
reading then, but I saw whatever I was reading, whether it was on Twitter or wherever, he had a number 4 next to his name. And I did not think that was very reasonable. I thought, wow, how did he get so high? That doesn't feel right. So you're telling me that's totally crazy.
Yeah, no one has that. That's just, that. I don't know. Maybe they forgot a 1 in there. Even 14 seems high. We have him, I think, 19,
Okay.
which is about where he was last year when he was starting in place of
Yeah.
Cade Brock too. He does have some really nice wins. He beat
He's got no good wins.
this year. He does not, but last year he beat Tariq Wilson. He beat Cole Matthews.
Yeah.
There were a number of other guys too he beat, but he didn't have the best Big 12 tournament if I remember right last year.
Got it.
Brock Mahler and Boo Llewellyn was an awesome match. I don't know if you got to watch that one, Ben.
I did not. I was I was complaining to you guys because it was not online. I was at a tournament all day, so it was only on the Big Ten Network or Big Ten Plus or not Big Ten Plus, ESPN Plus,
ESPN Plus. Yeah, just the
something
finals.
plus.
Yeah, just the finals. I watched Noah Adams, AJ Ferrari on some guy's Facebook who
I
was
did
in the
watch that because
stands.
you gave me the Facebook link and I got to watch that match.
Yeah, yeah. One of a
Yeah.
friend from back home sent me that link and was like, "Yo, Adam Ferrari is going to be right here." I don't know how he found that, but that guy was streaming all the early round matches. Shout out to him. Um, and that was a great match too.
That
Uh,
was. Dude, he had his knees together. You cannot have a man's knees together and not get a takedown. Come on, Mr.
I
Ferrari.
don't.
I mean, he had the knees pinched. All you gotta do is make him fall over a little bit. And Noah Adams
I think
scrambled out of it and broke him.
he stopped running those feet, right? Dead feet.
Oh yeah. He thought he was gonna fall
And
over.
Adams has amazing hips and was able to kind of just sprawl almost just out of it with 8 or 9 seconds left. Adams got a takedown in the first period, and if I was thinking this, and the guy who was streaming live on Facebook said that was the first takedown Ferrari's given up all year.
I mean,
So,
yeah, he doesn't give up takedowns very, very easily at all.
I wonder if people will see that match and because I thought Noah wrestled extremely smart when AJ went to his knees. He didn't walk forward, and that's what guys have been doing this season. You see a guy on your knees, and you
Yeah,
almost want to, you want to lunge and get him in short offense, and Noah didn't.
I don't know why you would lunge at them though. I mean, if anything, I would get really low and I would post and then probably snap and cover. And I would be really low in doing so. I have got double leg before, so I can't say he would never get me. But yeah, the lunging thing, I do not really. I don't know why people are doing that. Adam's approach was much better.
Yes, and then I mean, the shot that he got in on to almost finish it. I mean, he shot from so far away, but that just like goes to show like how quick and how long his arms are so long. He got in
Yes.
there and he was really extended and was still able to work his way up and almost finish that. I
Well,
think those two are
there's that
probably
one
going to
picture
be,
where he's like all the way
yeah,
Supermaned out, you know? Um,
yeah, yeah.
and that's kind of like, when you're really firing off hard doubles and the best ones, it's like, you teach kids who aren't good at wrestling to keep their torso over their hips, so to speak, right? You don't want them to lean too far forward. But these elite level guys, their torso attacks and then their hips follow and then eventually gets underneath them, right? But if you watch it in slow motion, their torso and their arms are going first, their hips are following underneath afterwards. And that's definitely like a more efficient way to shoot a double if you're really good at wrestling.
Nice little breakdown there. But yeah, no, it played out similar to how I thought. I thought Noah could match him athletically. He did. Top bottom wasn't a factor, but I think those two are going to be on the same side at the Big 12 tournament. Um, I don't
Really?
actually
So
don't
wait,
know how
hold
you
on. So
see
where
Big.
are you putting Sloan then?
I don't know. I don't know because he's
I don't think
undefeated,
they're
but
on the
he
same side
his
because
best win
Buchanan's
is
won.
Buchanan's won. Absolutely. But what
Buchanan's
do you
won.
do with Sloan, who lost in the Big
He's
12 finals
undefeated. You got
last
to go
year
two
to
or three with
Adams?
him, right? Don't you got to
I
go
mean,
two
I
or
guess
three with
you
him?
could.
Well, Ferrari
They
hasn't
probably
lost and
will.
Sloan has slaughtered everybody.
His best win is Woodley. I don't know. I don't know how you determine that. And he lost the last time he wrestled Noah Adams in a college match.
Yeah, I
So
feel like, but I don't feel like you could justify. I mean, I think you could justify putting Noah Adams above Tanner Sloan, despite the fact that he has two losses. I don't think that you could justify putting AJ Ferrari above Tanner Sloan because he has one loss. And Sloan's now 13-0. It's got to be one of the most wins in the country because there's not very many people that have that many matches at this point. Um,
you're right about
and
that.
obviously, he's got the win over Woodley, and Ferrari had a 3-2 over Woodley. And he really hasn't had any close matches to this point. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would
So
say.
you think Buchanan, Sloan, Adams, Ferrari?
I could go either way with Sloan and Adams at 2 or 3. And, it really doesn't matter, right? Um,
Right.
So I think you can go there, and then Ferrari ends up 4, and Woodley would be 5 then. And Woodley Ferrari was competitive last time. It'd probably be competitive this time. But I think I'm really interested to see Stephen Buchanan versus AJ Ferrari. I almost feel like Ferrari's the favorite in that because as high powered as Buchanan's offense is, he does kind of leave some openings to be attacked. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing about Ferrari that we can say, as undisciplined and dumb as he is on social media, he is the opposite in matches. he is very disciplined in matches and doesn't really make stupid mistakes. So if Buchanan gives him an opportunity to, blow through a couple double legs, he's going to take it, and he's probably not going to get out of position for Stephen Buchanan to attack him. So, and that's a match we haven't seen, so I'm very interested to see that one. I feel like that's how it's going to end up. And damn, I actually feel like I don't. Let's see, what do you guys have them? The highest one. So you got Mean, Schultz, Warner, Norfleet, Bonacorsi. So the highest Big 12 guy you have is number 6. I feel like those 4 that I just mentioned could absolutely be All-Americans. And I could definitely see them beating, a Jacob Warner, and Eric Schultz, Cordell Norfleet. I could see them moving up and winning some of those matches for sure.
100% agree with you. And I think if this is a normal year where all these schools get their tournaments and opens in, you see the Big 12 guys higher. I mean, 2 weeks ago, Noah Adams was number 1. And I agree with your Ferrari Buchanan take, because we've seen Adams the past 2 weekends blow through Buchanan on doubles. So I think they will absolutely be there for AJ Ferrari, but Buchanan, man, he just keeps coming. And that Adams match was awesome again. It was tied by about 30 seconds left, but Buchanan had riding time. Adams gets a reversal with about 20 seconds to go, can't hold him down. And so he gets an escape. And so I think it's tied. It's actually tied on the scoreboard, but I think Buchanan thought he was losing. And he put together, it was a really nice single. And he didn't stop his feet. He got Adams' legs together and ran through it and finished. So he ended up winning by 2. And just another awesome match. Those two now 2-2 all time against each other, becoming a really fun rivalry.
That's a fun match every time, and they're young, so we're gonna get to see that. That's actually the Big 12 197 is legit, and these guys are all young.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
We got sophomore. Oh, Noah Adams is junior now, but it's essentially a sophomore because he gets 2 more years after this. Buchanan gets 3 more years, and then Sloan 3 more, Ferrari 4 more. Dude, that's a fun mix of guys right there. And really, I would say Ferrari is very disciplined, but the other guys are kind of just high-powered offense. And now that they can't get more disciplined, but I would say their go-to is their high-powered offense. And so these guys are going to be a blast to watch over the next couple of years.
Yeah, they're not afraid to open it up. They want to go and get to their attacks, which is fun. And you're right, Ferrari is so tough. It's so tough to get to his legs because he stays so low. He's got great head hands. He's on his knees a lot. So yeah, it's really tough to get to Ferrari.
Hey, so one match we didn't get to yet, but I wanted to bring up because I had a couple friends that were texting me. So my Mizzou friends were obviously watching this. So I was getting texts while it was going on. But Plott's shoulder dislocated during the match, and then he put it back in himself. That can't be good for him, can it?
No, it probably can't. And I believe it was the shoulder why he missed his senior year of high school, too. I don't know if you saw the clip. I know Seth Duckworth tweeted it out, but he's winning 4-1 against Hastings. And you just see him kind of like hold his shoulder like out here to the side. And he's like, you can tell he's in pain. And then he just kind of like jerks it back. And then it like comes back down normal. And then he just kind of he gives himself a 1-2-3 kind of on the side of the head. And I don't know if he's just like, hey, like get your mind right, or like, man, that really hurt, or what it was, but it's pretty badass.
Yeah, but that's something where it's like long term. This dude, he got 4 years after this. I mean, he is young, so that's something where like, man, you got to take care of yourself because people don't think a lot about how important the shoulder is for wrestling. But Kyle, you can't do anything if you don't have your shoulder. I mean, you're using it on bottom all the time. You can't take a leg attack without your shoulder, right? Because you're always going to get in this position, and then you got to let go. I remember when Mark Ellis had a hurt shoulder, and he leg attacked a lot, and that was his main complaint is if he didn't finish clean, he was screwed. And so that's, man, this young for him, that's a
Kyle, you
real
can go
issue.
ahead and pull that GIF up. I see you got it there. Um, yeah. See, watch him when they kind of break here, Ben. His arms kind of just out to the side, and then he'll like jerk it back, and then
Interesting.
1-2 to the side of the head. um, yeah, no, it's something to be super concerned about, and something that we've seen with some of the lighter guys, the 25 pounders. You know, probably more recently, plague them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something to watch. And I mean, he was winning. He had scored 2 takedowns to nothing right there in the first period, and then after that, I think he goes on to lose like 8-6. So you
Yeah.
wonder how much that played a part in it. But man, Wyoming
Well,
had an
I mean, the
amazing
other thing
final
is just like,
performance.
with this is,
Go ahead.
in practice too, right? If you have to be conscious of it and can't put yourself in certain positions in practice, um, man, yeah, that's just such a negative for the long term impact of your career. So hopefully he gets healthy and can handle that shoulder thing. But um, John Smith's a hard ass, so I don't know if John Smith's gonna give him enough time to heal that thing right.
And I mean, do you think what you just said had anything to do with Oklahoma State's performance? I don't know. They didn't have Jacob
He
Wright
had a crap
beats Wyatt
performance.
Sheets. Tate Samuelson beats Dakota Gear. Hastings was ranked ahead of Plott, but if you would ask me to pick that match, I'm picking Dustin Plott. Um, yeah, Ferrari loses to Adams, although he didn't look bad.
I
Uh,
mean, really,
I don't
out of
know.
that final, I mean, what you fix is your bright spot, I guess, because he killed
Yeah,
everyone. But Whit, like, I guess he whooped Peyton Hall, but I don't know. Peyton Hall's really young. I don't think super highly of him at this point. And so it's like, man, that was if you're an Oklahoma State fan, that was a rough finals. That was really rough.
absolutely. Fix and Whitlake looked awesome, and Whitlake's looked like that all year. I'm not worried about him. But I am concerned about 25 and uh, 84, 74. Like that,
Pretty
I don't
close.
know. Yeah, those are 57. Those are matches you should be winning. Um, so
Yeah,
that's
so I
something to keep
texted
an
you
eye on
guys
for sure.
the over under on Oklahoma State All Americans. I feel like it's 3.5 right now. So I think Fix essentially is a lock. Boo is likely, I would say. Um, Wyatt Sheets outside looking in. Whitlake is probably more likely than not. Plott, in my opinion, outside looking in. Dakota Gear, I don't want to say outside looking in, but he is a little lower. And Ferrari, I guess I'm going to say outside looking in. I think I would probably, if you had me place a bet on whether he's an All American or not, I'd probably pick All American, but it's not. I would obviously not a lock by any sense of imagination.
I would take the over in that. I think they'd fix All Americans. I think Travis Whitlake All Americans. I think Boo All Americans, and then I think they get one of. I think Ferrari. If you're looking at like the next best chances, um, I actually probably go Ferrari, Gear, Plot, and
Yeah,
74 is.
not
I
deep.
mean, once you get past Logan Massa, it's not deep. You got, I mean, Donnell Washington, Andrew McNally, Hayden Hastings, Michael O'Malley, Peyton Mako, Austin Murphy, Daniel Bullard, and then you're at Plot. He can, I mean, you get the right draw, he can absolutely All American. And I mean, he
And not if
took
his
down
shoulder
Hayden
can't
Hastings
stay in.
twice in the first period. Yeah, shoulder's got to stay in. Shoulder has to stay intact
I
to
mean, and
win.
that's so like
Um,
one of the things I think about Ferrari when I was just doing the calculation, is he going to All American or not? One of the things, that high level high school guys struggle with at college tournaments. Now we haven't had any of those yet. Well, I guess this was
right.
a tournament, kind of. And this was something I struggled with big time my freshman year. Is because I wasn't good enough to like pin everyone. In high school, I might have, if I do a tournament, I might have one tough match, right? If it's a really high level one, maybe two. Um, I'm killing dudes, right? I'm pinning them, and so
Yeah.
I'm getting on and off the mat relatively quickly. And so when you look at someone like Ferrari, he does not pin dudes quickly, right? He is very likely at the NCAA tournament to be on the mat 7 minutes every single match. And so, especially if he's not a high seed, he's going to have someone really tough in the second round. And so we're talking a minimum. Yeah, minimum four really tough matches. But if he gets on the backside in the sixth round of 16 or quarterfinals, I mean, we're talking 5, 6, 7 really tough matches. And if you're grinding them out every single time, that adds up and your body wears out. And that was so we go back to my red shirt freshman year. Dude, by the end of some of these tournaments, when I had like 6 tough matches, my body wasn't used to it. And I was just like done. I couldn't compete the way I wanted to compete. And that was a huge impact. And I lost a whole bunch of matches because of that. And so Ferrari, we haven't seen him in a tournament yet. And so when he gets to that 4th or 5th tough match, how does he able to compete?
Agreed. And even though this was technically a tournament, you weighed in one time and he had one of the punkies before he wrestled Adams. I don't even think he wrestled his 3rd place match because it was against an Oklahoma State guy, so they just didn't even wrestle it. So he wrestled 2 matches. So it's like, right. So, and you got to make weight 3 days in a row. He's never done that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think that, when I think about Ferrari, there's those factors, and who knows, maybe those are not impacting him, but I think they absolutely could impact him also. And then obviously with Plot, with your shoulder popping out, yeah, that's gonna impact you for sure. So I guess he does have a few technical falls this year, Ferrari. He's got 4 of them. So maybe
look at who that was against.
None of those guys are in the top 33.
None of them. They're not
They will
going to be
not
there.
NCAAs. You're correct. They will not be there. Yes. So his only 2 matches of guys ranked in the top 33 are Jake Woodley and Noah Adams, both of which were 3-2, and one he lost to and one he won.
Yeah. The talent's there. It's just going to be the draw and the navigating the tough matches like you're talking about, guys. The more film they have on him, I think the better they're going to wrestle him, the smarter they're going to wrestle him. But can you get to his legs now, I guess, is the big thing. Kozak, he's been doing a big All-American study. I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter, but he put in the Facebook chat, Oklahoma State has had at least 3 All-Americans every year since 2000, except 2009, and at least 4 AAs 16 times in that 20-year span.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
Your safe bet is taking the over there. Okay, you good with Cowboy Challenge? You wanna move on to?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with that. A little cues from Fs. Are we gonna do the Mekhi thing, or you want to save it for
Let's
Piles?
talk.
Is he gonna make it back by tomorrow? He's probably not gonna make it back, is he?
He says he is. I don't know.
How? Do the math. It's 20 hours. He's driving 20 hours.
He'd have to drive. They'd have to drive nonstop.
And then he would still have like an hour of sleep.
They could do it. It's possible to do it. When we drive back to West Virginia, it's around 21 hours, and we usually do it nonstop. It's not fun.
Do you sleep then? You sleep in the car or something?
Yeah, I'll usually drive like the first 10, 12 hours, then Olivia will I'd tell her, just give me 2 or 3 hours, and I'll nap for 2 or 3 hours and then finish out.
Whoa, that's pretty hardcore, Bracky. That's serious.
Yeah, you got to be mentally tough. You just get a lot of podcasts, some energy drinks.
Like Wayne Ballman. Mentally tough like Wayne Ballman.
That's right. Let's talk Mekhi.
So one time, listen, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to warn you here. One time, Kyle, when I was young and much tougher, we were 4 of us. We were partying, and we were at Louisiana State. And I said, "This is a PSA for all you dumb kids out there like myself."
You're at LSU?
And this could be a PSA for you and Mr. Piles. And it was like 2, and I don't drink, so it was 2 a.m. I said, "Listen, man, it's 10 hours home, whatever. I don't want to freaking spend all Sunday driving. Let's leave right now. We're done partying. Let's leave." And you sleep, you drive the first whatever, and then I'll finish up. So we took off 2 a.m. We drove. I actually slept really good. And it was 6 a.m. And I woke up, started driving, and then at like 7:30, we dropped the 2 guys off. There's 2 guys that met us somewhere. We dropped them off, right? And we kept driving. And so I had already been driving for an hour and a half. And I remember looking up at this sign and thinking, oh, hey, someone told me that there's a lot of cops in this area. I should probably slow down, you know? Next thing I remember, I woke up, I'm driving in the freaking grass median, 80 miles an hour. I'm like, and I looked at my buddy Joey Garrity, and I said, "Oh shit, I'm in the median." And I remember seeing the sign. I was perfectly awake. I'd already been driving for like 2 hours. I cranked it back on the road. And obviously my adrenaline had spiked, and so then I stayed awake for the rest of the drive. But now I was probably 20, I don't know, 23 or 24 at that point. I do not do all-nighters anymore after that. I learned my lesson.
Dang, I've never had anything like that. I've been really good about anytime like I feel like I'm about to do that. I pull off and I'll tell Olivia like, "Can you drive? You good? Because usually she'll be sleeping, or do we need to find a place?" And sometimes we'll just take
Yeah.
like 10, 20 minutes to collect ourselves and figure it out. But no, that's scary. Thank God you're all right.
Yeah, that one was weird because I didn't really feel tired. You know, it was like I got some decent sleep. I woke up. I was driving for a couple hours. I felt fine, and then all of a sudden, I don't know. I'm just done. So I don't do it anymore like I used to when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into this injury default topic. Because anytime a number one goes down, it's always a big deal. So Friday night, Pitt wrestled Virginia Tech, and I told you, I sat here, not here, but in the studio on Thursday, and told you to watch out for Jake Wentzel, that he'd been wrestling really good, and I obviously still was picking Mekhi, but that this could be a really close match. And
Okay.
I don't know if you watched, Ben, but I went back and watched because I didn't get to watch it live Friday
Okay.
night. I went back and watched. Wenzel gets in on a shot in like the first 40 seconds. And Mekhi is the most absurd wrestler I've ever seen when someone has his leg in the air. It was almost two
Very good.
minutes. It was almost 2 minutes, Ben. He had his leg in the air before he finally like was able to move it around and trip Mekhi and finish for the takedown. But like the majority of that, Mekhi was just chilling, like literally just flat footed, just chilling. And he had it like in his armpit, and then he worked it up a little bit higher,
Mhm.
and then I think he finally got it up onto his shoulder before he finished. So that was insane.
Damn.
And Winchell's very good on top. So then I
Mhm.
think he got the takedown with only like 14, 15 seconds left in the period. So he rode out that period, and then Mekhi goes down, and then he was really working a power half hard on Mekhi. And Mekhi tried to roll kind of like out of it and out of bounds, and you could tell immediately like he grabbed his shoulder and he's rolling around there. And VT actually challenged because it was kind of the same thing with Wenzel and Monday from a few weeks ago. They were up on their feet, and um, Wenzel had boots in and he returned them, and they were challenging for an illegal mat return that he'd left both his feet.
Mm.
So Mekhi got some time there to try to work it out, and they say no illegal mat return. They come back to the middle, kind of the same thing. He starts working that power half again, and he finished out the period. But you could tell, I mean, he was holding his arm against himself like this, and he tried to wrestle, and it wasn't working. So like, the VT threw the white flag, said, "Hey, we're done here. We don't want him to get hurt
Dang.
anymore." So I believe the injury default actually came right after the second period ended, when it was just clear Mekhi couldn't do anything. So it was 3-0, I think, at the time, because Wenzel had chose bottom after injury time and gotten an escape. Um, and yeah, we don't count injury defaults for rankings purposes. Obviously, it goes in the win loss column, and uh, this kind of started some drama on Twitter. Kyle, if you want to go ahead and pull this up, the original
Well, it
tweet
does
from
seem
Pitt.
ridiculous that you I know your policy, but it was essentially 3-0, and you leave Mekhi at number 1, and you probably left him above Gable in the pound for pound, which ain't no one taking down Gable and riding him for a period. That just is not gonna happen.
You're probably right, but we did leave it. As we said, we probably will till NCAA's. Um, but
Maybe ACCs. Are the ACC coaches gonna switch these
yeah, yeah.
seedings around?
I'm sure they probably will. I'm sure because they have a loss column. I don't know where was Nolf seated when he took the injured default to Van Brill. I don't know.
Dog. He was
Um,
whooping him.
it doesn't matter. It's still a loss, and I think they did drop him down in seeding.
No,
I don't
but
think he
you
was a
see
one
what
seed.
this is my argument. You are like you want to put blind. Listen, I understand it's not 7 minutes, but you want to put blinders onto relevant data. There is relevant data there. Nolf was whooping him. Mekhi was getting whooped.
But he lost.
Different thing.
But he lost the match. But he lost the match, so he should drop,
I,
right?
no, you need to look at
But
the
he
relevant
lost.
data. The
He
data
didn't get his
matters.
hand. He didn't get his. He didn't get his hand raised, Ben. He should have
Data
dropped.
matters. You see what happened. I know it's only 5 minutes. It's not 7 minutes, but there was nothing there that told us that Mekhi Lewis is going to win. I mean, Mekhi Lewis is down essentially 4-0 because Wentzel's going to choose bottom and get an escape, right? It's
There's
4-0.
So Mekhi Lewis couldn't score. The defending NCAA champions couldn't score enough points in the final period to
He's
win
going to
the match.
essentially need to score like four takedowns in one period.
Imagine, like at that point, we're just. How many matches have you watched where you were like, "There's no way this guy wins," and then he wins? It happens all the time.
Like
It
2%.
happens all the time.
Top.
It happens though. It happens, and I mean, so you're gonna. So not only are you gonna fault Mekhi for a match that didn't even finish, you're going to move Alex Marinelli above him in the rankings, who hasn't wrestled in 3 weeks and lost to him the last time that they wrestled.
2 years ago. Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Okay. I'm just saying, like we don't count injury defaults, but like when you look at the guys ranked behind him, and I looked at what a few other places did with Mekhi this morning, dropping him all the way to 4 and 5 behind Griffith and Whitlag, whose wins don't even compare to Mekhi's. Like, who is Shane Griffith's best win? Who is Travis Whitlag's best win? Mekhi Lewis
Dude,
beat Alex Marinelli, Evan Wick, and Vincenzo Joseph. You're
Marinelli's
dropping
only
him
had 2
behind those
matches
guys?
this year. Do you realize that? Did you guys Marinelli only had
Yes,
2
yes,
matches? Oh my
yes. I
god.
realize that. Well, I
Wow.
mean, so we don't factor in anyways. Um, and if the match had finished, I mean, we probably would drop Mekhi behind Marinelli, but like you can't. I don't see how you can drop him farther than two. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, but then you don't move. You also don't move Wenzel up. You're giving him no credit for his big win.
we don't use it for rankings purposes. I've told you this. Make sure you keep the same energy about Kellen March winning by injury default over Jared Van Vliet, because that
Was he
happened.
whooping
No one's
him?
talking about that.
Was he whooping
I
him?
don't know what the score was. I don't know what the score was at the time. I
Well,
don't know.
I take a
What
relevant
makes
look at
but
the data of. Here's what I do. I take a relevant look at the data. If we got 5 minutes of wrestling, we got 5 minutes of wrestling. Now, if it's like
Right,
a
well, we didn't
minute,
get
maybe
7, and
that's a
we
different
don't know what's
story.
going to happen in the next two.
But
Um,
you can extrapolate from the data that you do have, and maybe you don't hold that as highly as a fully 7 minute win, but I don't see. So man, Wenzel lost to Thomas Bullard. Other than that, he's beaten a pretty solid schedule because he has schedule Keating Monday and then Lewis. That's solid.
yeah, and you look at last year. He beat Bronco last year. He beat Ethan Smith year. Um, his wins are really good, and we're gonna get to see this at the ACC tournament. We talked about Big 12 197, 165 in the ACC is amazing too. You have Mekhi Lewis,
Yeah.
you have Jake Wentzel, you have Kennedy Monday, you have Jake Keaton, you have Thomas Bullard, all those guys ranked in the top 12, 13. And then Monday and Keating, Ben, I don't know if you realize this, wrestled like an 18-15 match this weekend.
He
Kennedy Monday
did.
was up like yes, Kennedy Monday was up like 10-2 in the first period and lost 18-15.
What? He gassed or what? Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you give up 16 points in 4 minutes, you
It was
gas.
Yeah, it was takedown release, takedown release, takedown release. Um,
Oh my
y-
goodness
yeah,
gracious.
not good. But what's funny is I'm assuming Iowa fans are going to be pissed about Marinelli not being number one. But were you guys mad when Austin DeSanto didn't drop last year when he injury defaulted
He
to
should have
RBY?
dropped. I was mad. I was so
You were
mad.
mad.
I
You
raged.
were
I
mad, but
raged on that situation.
Iowa fans weren't mad because he was hurt.
Well, count me consistent because I was pissed.
You are consistent, Ben. You were pissed. But just if you're gonna be mad about entry defaults, make sure you
That
get
one
mad
was
about
like
every single
10-0.
one.
That one was like 10-0 at the time of default. That was bad.
I don't know how bad it was, but I mean, the ref should have just. I don't know why he stopped it. He should have just called the fall.
Yeah.
But yeah. Uh, Kyle, you can go ahead and bring up the reply from Pitt because
I
Pitt
love
was very
this. This
much
was great.
treating this like a legit win, and sent out that tweet like down goes number one. Jake Wentzel wins by entry default or whatever. And
And that's
all these
exactly what
Virginia
they
Tech.
should have done, Kyle. Exactly what they should. It wasn't like their dude was down like 8-1 and then partying on him when he was getting whooped. They should count this as a win. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, it does count as a win. We talked about that.
Good
So
job,
then,
Pitt. Good
a
job, Pitt.
bunch of a bunch of Virginia Tech fans were all pissed off, and someone goes, "An injury default is not a win." and whoever's running the Pitt account goes, "Yes, it is according to NCAA rules," and then screenshotted the rule. Oh man,
That's
just
tremendous.
just fuel on the fire for ACCs. That's gonna be fun. They wish the best to Mekhi, of course. Uh, but no, it's always
Oh
been our
my
thing.
goodness.
Kind of injury
Hey,
defaults.
did you see what Luke
Go ahead.
Wise typed in the chat?
I did not. What did he?
I mean, and the hope obviously this would likely be solved through wild cards. ACC only has 2 allocations at 165. That is absurd. Wentzel, Mekhi, Bullard, Kennedy. Am I missing so Keating? You just mentioned Keating.
Well,
I'm missing him.
so
Absurd.
Keating, Bullard, yeah, they'll have three. They'll have three. Because this is another problem that I had with the way they release these is so they did what they called pre-allocations. Okay, so
Okay.
you look at ACC, they have 23, and the numbers that you see for each weight is a pre-allocation, and then they have automatic qualifiers, and there's
For the
10 of
champ?
those. For the champ, right. Why didn't they
Oh,
just put that in the number? Why didn't they put
that
that
would
in the
make a lot
number?
more
Just
sense.
put that in.
That'd make a
It's so stupid. And I think the reason they did it is because in case somebody finishes in an allocation spot that doesn't have 4 matches. You know what I mean? Like how we talked
mm,
about if second place
yes,
is
yes.
2-1. But yeah, I think that's why they did it. But so it's actually three, but that is also absurd that they only have three when they have 4 guys ranked in the top 13 right now. Next, you might have Keating, Bullard, Monday, Wentzel, Mekhi. They have 5 guys ranked in the top 13. There's 3 freaking allocations. What the hell? This is stupid. This is stupid.
I agree fully.
Okay, let's get to Q's from F's before it start going crazy again.
Yeah. We don't have much time for Q's for F's. We
um.
only only get to answer a couple.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'll try to look for the best then, and then the rest can get pulled over to tomorrow. Ben, Austin Denson, he'd never heard of Parker Keckeisen until you brought him up. Now he's one of his favorite guys to watch in college right now. How high do you think he can climb on the podium?
I think he can go way up there. I mean, I don't want to I don't want to pontificate too much, but I always talk about how early success is not important. And, I mean, that's a guy right there. I remind my kids, this guy never won a U state title. Some of these guys trying to get
That's
pissed they don't win a
crazy.
U state title at age 9. He never did, not all the way up to age 15, because he was that 15-year-old. I don't know his 15-year-old age group when he was an 8th grader.
Yeah.
Never won, not one, and now he's killing it. So we don't need to win state titles at 8 years old. If we don't do it, not a big deal. We can win later.
That's insane. That is insane.
Yeah.
Um, Kevin Mulder, this one's interesting. If Massa Strachey rematch the Big Tens, how do you predict the match will go? Because I don't know. I don't see it looking the same as it did yesterday.
Really, I would say similar. I mean, maybe there's a takedown in there, but there's no way I see this being a 10-8 type of match. I think one
Yeah.
takedown, maybe 2. Nothing too crazy.
I just think
Um,
someone gets a takedown in regulation, I guess, is my point. Are
So
you
I
seeing
like
this
Sean
tweet from
Carroll's.
Steve Potanic? You see the tweet we just got from Steve
No, where?
Potanic?
Where?
He just tweet look in your notifications. Nolf was up by a point versus Van Brill halfway through the second period, and Van Brill scored the first takedown in the match.
Dude. Nolf's a
Hey, he's
killing
whooping
machine.
him,
Get on my.
bro.
This is not. Listen, you didn't put it in the doc. I'm not answering it. Nolf's a killing machine. Next topic. Nolf next topic. Was it Nolf next topic? Was that a thing?
Yeah,
Or
Nolf
was it
next
some? Was it
topic.
nickel? Oh, it was okay.
No, it
It
was
was Nolf.
Nolf. It was Nolf. Yeah. I don't know. You see anyone you really want to answer today?
Yeah, over under Pennsylvania weights in the state in the
Oh,
NCAA
yeah.
finals. 4.5. I think would they put 4.5? Sorry, I gotta scroll back to it. He put 4.5. I
So,
am going to say likely over because you're gonna go. I mean,
let's
Spencer Lee is a lock, right? Um,
yeah.
you're
Let's
gonna
run through
go.
it. Spencer Lee at 125.
Okay, DeSanto's got a
Um,
solid chance. Phillippe's got a solid chance. And then Corbin Myers is Pennsylvania also. So you have 3 opportunities there. So I think there's a decent chance you get one there. 41, definitely not. 49, you're likely going to have Sammy Sasso, and you have a backup in Max Murin and Michael Carr. So I think there's a decent chance you get one there. 57,
yep.
Hidley, I think, is the favorite. Caleb Young is also a Pennsylvania wrestler. I don't know about Jesse Delvecchia. Is he or no? Is he a
I
Jersey
think
guy?
he's Jersey. I think he's
Okay,
Jersey.
Jersey. Um, I say no at 65.
He's New
I don't
York.
really.
Delvecchio is New York. Sorry about that,
Okay.
Jesse.
Sorry, Jesse. Yeah, I don't really think you have any good opportunities at 65. I guess Jake Wentzel would be your
Wentzel.
best.
Yeah.
I don't see it. You got 1-2 at 74, so I think you're probably counting on that weight class. You also have Staroki at 5. And that's
Yep.
probably a good bet. Hidley at number 2, and that's probably their only opportunity. That Bowen's not PA, is he? He's a Virginia kid, right?
No, he's a Virginia boy. Yeah.
Yeah. And D Prez is New York. Brooks is Maryland. Yeah. So
Hmm.
uh, all your chips are on Hidley at that weight class. I don't think they're going to get one at 97. I think maybe
I don't
Bonacorsi is their
either.
highest guy. Maybe you could count West Virginia as a part of Southern Pennsylvania, and you could throw Noah Adams in there.
No, 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 no.
And then heavyweight, they ain't getting one at heavyweight. Sorry, bro. Hey, we should talk about Colton Schultz tomorrow. He had quite the weekend. He has moved
Yes, he
himself
did.
into in the rankings. He has a tremendous afro. And he might not win pretty, but this man does win a lot. And so I think we should start, seeing him in that upper echelon of guys at heavyweight.
Yeah, you definitely will now. That was our biggest thing was just. I mean, last year he wrestled like 4 matches, and I think all
Yes.
of them were against either non D1 guys or non starters. And then this year he was supposed to have these 2 matches like a month earlier. Things got postponed.
Yep.
But he beats Brian Anderson, 12 champ, and then Gannon Grimmel and Carter Isley as well. So yeah, he's on a roll, and like you said, it might not be the prettiest thing, but it's going to be tough to score on him. He could stand in there and hand fight and go toe to toe with
Yes.
these guys because of the Greco background. I'm interested to see him against even like a Stencil and Cassiope and Paris
Yeah,
and
for
Gable.
sure. I feel like Paris and Gable maybe are just maybe I'm short selling Colton, but they're freaking really, really good. They're
Yeah,
good for not for the NCAA, but for the world. They're good.
right.
Yeah.
They're world
So
class.
excited to see it. Yes. Hey, can we wrap it there? I gotta, you know what I gotta do?
Yep.
I gotta go work these hands. I gotta go box. I got a world champ in town. I worked out with him yesterday. He was tremendous. So, some guys you don't know how they're gonna coach, and he was man, he broke it
Who is it?
down. It was awesome. So his name is Cornelius Bundridge, but he goes by K9. So, you
Ooh,
guys can look him
oh, I
up.
like that.
Yes. Yes. He said you can't be up in the hood calling yourself Cornelius. People want to fight you. So I had to come up with a good name. So K9 was his name.
All right, man. You go work those hands so you can silence Jake Paul like everyone in the wrestling world wants you to. We'll be back tomorrow. We don't know where we'll be doing it from. We don't know who will be on. Godspeed to CP, who is driving across America right now. Hope you all are safe and warm where you are too. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Peace.